Children of the night, what music they make.
They're all gonna laugh at you!
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
What's up?
I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your head.
Final, guys! Welcome to another great episode of Final. I like to bring it there. What? Can't hear me?
You just got very quiet, like right in the middle of your intro.
Serious? During my great intro?
Yes.
Now you're really loud.
Oh, good.
No,
Whatever. Welcome to Final, guys, jerks. I'm Hunter Shea, joined as always by Jason Brandt,
Hello.
Jack Campese,
Oh, hello there.
and Sexy Tim Meyer.
What's up?
Tonight, we're going to review a movie called Hosts, not to be confused with Host with a hard T. And I believe a movie called The Host came out this year as well. It's a weird year for hosting, but you know, it's weird because nobody's hosting anything nowadays. But in the movies, everyone's a host.
We're hosting.
We are always hosting. We're the hostess with the noses, baby.
Hostess fruit pies and Twinkies.
Oh my god! What did you prefer, apple or cherry?
I was not a fruit pie guy. I was more of a Twinkie guy.
Dude, the apple fruit pies were amazing.
I was all about
Yep.
cherry. Jack, I would have paid you for like fruit pies.
I like the
No? You like
I like
cream
them.
filling?
I like
I got
the cupcakes with the swirly thing
Oh yes, the yellow
and the
cupcakes.
lemon ones.
Oh, it's so good.
And what are they called? Susie Q's.
I feel like we should do like Romper Room one day. Remember when she used to do like the magic mirror and she
Yeah.
would go, I can see Chad and Lance and Stephen. By the way, thank you all for joining us early tonight. Before we get into everything, let's go. Who is in charge of the drinking rules? Anyone?
I can.
I
there we
can do it.
go. Got him. Everybody take a drink. If you hear Jack say Bly, October, and news. If you hear Hunter say Christmas, family, and lie. If I say howling, gore, and pacing, howling. And the Incredible Hunk. If he says supernatural, budget, and neighbors. And
Love
if
it.
any of us say possess, British, or blood, take a drink.
Okay. By the way, I've been doing drinking games since about 3:00 this afternoon. So this should be a fun episode.
What if we say British?
British? What if you
British.
say UK? Does that count? I guess not.
Uck.
I
Anyone
think
have-
at some point you should let us know when you're not drinking, not necessarily when you are drinking.
Yeah, because that's a given, really.
Look, you guys are jerks. Normally, I don't have time to drink. I have to get home from
Thoroughly
work.
drunk.
I mean, you said like you've been drinking since 3 p.m. Like that was news or something. Like that's not
It
what you
is.
do. every-
Normally on Tuesdays, I am working. I don't get home till almost 7:00 at night. I don't have time, but I've had time today.
I guess I assumed you were cracking a beer on the way to work in the morning.
Yeah.
I wish. I really
They have one of those
did.
hats on they wear at the football game.
Just sucking it through the straw. By the way, I was looking. We're like 24 weeks away from our 200th episode. So just prepare your livers.
God.
Everybody, not just the four of us, everybody. Because
We need to start thinking of something terrible to watch.
My wife says she wants to bake a cake, which I assume she's going to throw on my face right when the show starts.
Wouldn't she like put Monster Men on it by accident or something?
Monster Guys and Final Men.
You put what on it by accident?
Oh, Jack flashing the Monster Men shirt with
It's
Monster
very
Men
nice.
logo on his left titty. Does anyone have any news? Like, what's going on with Switch House, dude? New Switch House.
Oh, yeah. Hardcover editions. Now
Hardcover.
for pre-order. Yeah.
Ooh.
Got that right here. Nice little hardcover
Oh,
edition.
that looks awesome.
Yeah.
Damn.
Came out pretty good. Quite proud of it. So
Nice. That's not your first hardcover, is it?
no, Dead Daughters is out in hardcover, and then Thunderstorms put out a couple of limited edition hardcovers, which look really amazing.
Thunderstorm.
Thunderstorm. Yeah. So that's out. Well, not technically. It's up for pre-order. You can get it on Amazon, and I think it drops on the 31st. So, yeah, pretty excited about that.
Nice.
Y'all got to read that book.
Yeah.
Now you got to own it and touch it.
And touch it and feel it. And then also, what else came out? Something came out today. Oh, yeah. Midnight in the Pentagram from Silver Shamrock Publishing came out.
Oh, that came out today? Nice.
Yeah. Huge anthology. There's like 30 stories or something in it. And I have one in there, and I'm very excited about that as well. So,
were you in Midnight in the Graveyard with me?
I was. Yeah, I was in
so.
there. Yeah.
I should get Pentagram. I'm going for Midnight in the Oasis.
He's putting together another one. He's actually having if for the writers listening, he's having an open call. I believe it's in April, and it's for Midnight from Beyond the Stars. So it's like alien horror anthology. So yeah, if you get a chance, definitely submit to that if you got something, because that's going to be another amazing anthology.
I'm looking at the list of losers in this. I don't know. Why would you want to submit? I mean, you got Armand in here.
Hey.
Kenneth Kane is in here. Tim Meyer, Laurel Hightower, Chad Lutsky. I mean, kill me now.
I mean,
jealous bastard.
It sounds amazing. Graham Masterson's in it. I mean,
yeah.
Grandmaster Flash.
Yeah.
By the way, Tim and I, we should have dropped the mic at Midnight in the Graveyard when we were there with Robert McCammon. Like,
yeah,
to share anything with him. It's like, all right. I don't
even and you and I are in an anthology with Stephen King that's coming out in November.
We are?
Right? Yeah. Aren't you in
Breaking news.
Breaking news. Aren't you?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, we are.
Yeah, you are. You're in that, right? The Frank Arrington.
Frank Arrington thing, yeah.
Yeah. So
there's a lot going on. I can't keep track of everything.
That's all right. I'll be your secretary. I'll take care of everything for you. You don't have to remember shit.
Please, I need a minder and a nurse. I need a wet nurse.
God damn.
You think you need a segue to something?
I'm not going to ask Jason if he has anything, because he doesn't. So why don't we go straight into the news that's brought to us by Jack Campese?
Oh, the news is fit to print. Okay, I want to get your reaction to this. Universal is helping develop a remake of the Nicole Kidman ghost movie, The Others. This was I think it was 2001, right after The Sixth Sense.
That's a great movie.
I love it.
Unwatchable after you've seen it once.
Did you say remake?
Remake.
With a new ending? that movie completely hinges upon the ending, and once you know,
I love that movie.
The line here is, "It's unknown how much of the film will take from the original storyline." If you're going to call that a remake, though, how like the punchline of that movie is the whole thing. So
yeah, I wonder. Does it say who's starring in this vehicle?
No,
Nicole Kidman,
just, Meg Ryan.
It's Miley Cyrus and
Naomi Watts. Miley Cyrus, I would watch it if she was in it. I love that.
No, but I wondered immediately. I was like, oh God, why do you that movie's great. You don't need to remake it. Then I thought about it though. It doesn't get talked about a lot, and I don't think it gets rewatched a lot. So that might actually be a decent one to. I don't think you need to remake it, but if you're gonna pick one, maybe this would get more attention on it or something. And if they put a little bit of a twist. I don't think they need to do it, but there's other things that it could be worse.
It's been like 20 years, right? It's close.
Yeah, it's been like 18.
Yeah.
Remake movies that didn't quite land.
Right.
No.
We love this
Switch
movie.
House, you fucks.
The Switch House, exactly.
Yeah.
We love this movie so much we bought it like as soon as it came out, and I think we've watched it once since because we're like, oh, I know how it ends. So
but there's other ghost movies that you know how it ends, but they're still rewatchable. That one, it really is all about that ending.
I've watched it a couple times. I like it. I like the way they did the shadows in the dark and stuff. I think it's a cool looking movie.
Shadows in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
Shadows of the night.
Good cinematography.
Fantastic aspect ratio.
Are you fellas fans of scripted podcasts? Like Lore? You ever listen to Lore?
Yeah, sometimes they're good.
I like them, yeah.
Not.
Well, then I have good news for you because iHeartMedia, which I guess used to be iHeartRadio,
Oh, they own everything.
But then like Boston Market or Boston Chicken went to Boston Market because
Mhm.
they're more than just chicken. iHeartRadio.
Like the Duncan.
I heard them. Well, they're putting out a new 13-part horror anthology podcast series, 13 Days of Halloween, and the caretaker of the Hawthorne Manor will be played by none other than Keegan-Michael Key.
Mm.
Cool.
Was he going to
Cool.
play like that gym teacher he used to do on Mad TV?
He's going to do did he do the angry Obama translator guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Whatever. I'll take him.
I mean-
Like I just rewatched Hellfest, which I really like that movie. And Tony
It's a great
Todd
movie.
came out. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. Talk about mailing it in. So I'll take Keegan Michael Key over like a Tony Todd. Nice.
The last piece of news.
What's already? All right.
You don't have anything else funny to say, so I'm moving on. I'm bailing you out,
Bailing me out. I'm the one who said something.
but it wasn't very funny.
Whatever.
So,
Observation.
little good news. You know how we keep talking about movies that are being delayed and we're not going to see them for a long time? October 22nd on HBO Max, we will get to see the Anne Hathaway-led version of The Witches. October 22nd.
Is she like the new Angelica Houston?
She is the new Angelica Houston. The trailer is out. Who else is in? Octavia Spencer is the grandmother.
Mhm.
And who's the other? Stanley Tucci is in it. I think he runs the hotel.
You realize that she's probably the same age as Angelica Houston was when she made The Witches.
I'll tell you what, I saw the trailer and she is channeling Angelica Houston. I think she's going to do a good job.
All right. I'm down for that. The Witches is such a subversive little movie.
That has some really, really great parts to it. I think that's another one. At first, I was like, why are you remaking that? But I don't know a lot of kids who are watching that now. Like that should be like a Halloween staple, and it just seems like it's more niche. So
Right.
maybe this is a good way to get it out there.
That could be a good Hocus Pocus double feature with like the younger set.
Yeah.
If they can handle it. I don't know. They're very snowflakey.
You said HBO Max?
Yes.
How many streaming services does HBO have? Because
I don't know, but here's the deal. I subscribe to HBO and I cannot get HBO Max on my
Oh.
Amazon box,
Yeah,
on my
me neither.
Roku TV,
Fuck you, HBO.
and I tried to get the HBO app and it said, no, you got to put in this code, and I can't get it through DirecTV, which is what I have. So I am paying for HBO and I can't get HBO Max because I can't.
Well,
get
then
the
I won't
app.
support this thing.
But if you
To
get
hell with
HBO Max, do you get access to HBO? Because I know when I was watching Game of Thrones,
Probably not.
I had
I
to
think
find
so.
the exact service that would allow me to watch it on my Fire TV. It was annoying as shit.
I'm hoping that if you have HBO, you can see this and it will also be on Max.
I pay
So,
$6 a
who
week
knows?
for HBO Maxi Pad,
Hmm.
but
Mm,
there's
of
no
course.
programming on it yet.
Yeah.
You only
Yeah.
get programming like once a month.
Yeah, you got to wait.
Set you up for it. That was nice. Thank you. Good job, Jack.
All right. Take us home.
Okay, we're done with the news. Let's get right into the crap we watched this past week.
We have such sights to show you.
This is the part of the show where we talk about the movies that we watch and the books we read and maybe a video game that somebody played. Somebody, I mean Jason, who's the only person who has time to play games. I don't think he has a game this week.
I don't.
So this is my time. I'm going to go with my steady because it's playoff season here in baseball. You stick with your leadoff man who's gotten you to the promised land. Jason, what did you watch this week?
You're going to regret that, dude, because you know some of what I watched.
Oh, I'm not regretting it because I know.
Well, I watched The Amityville Curse, which is Amityville 5. And
Never
I'm
heard of it.
trying to find it here on Amazon, and it's just not wanting to behave. So you're not going to get to see any sweet pictures if you're watching the live stream. I'm so sorry.
But
But
just none. None to
this
be had.
movie, if you've ever wondered what would a murder mystery be like in the Amityville house,
I was just
That-
wondering that this morning.
That's what this is. It is a murder.
Happened with Ronnie DeFeo.
So like these people are driving down the road. I don't know where the hell they're going, and they see what I guess is supposed to be the Amityville house for sale, but that house blew up. I guess I don't know. At
In
this point,
three,
Sticking
right?
to continuity.
God no. But like they'll try to do a little bit of continuity between some, and then like not the others, and then they go back to different continuity. It doesn't make any sense. It's the worst. This is the worst movie in the series so far. It
So
is
far.
god awful boring. I don't necessarily understand why anything happens. So they buy this house, right? And they decide we're going to fix it up. And I don't know if they're going to sell it or live in it. I don't care.
That's what Tim would do.
So they have all their friends over to start fixing up this dump, and just bad stuff starts to happen. And in the few pictures I just showed, you see everything in the movie because that's all that happens. And this is boring. Never watch it. I would go more in depth, but there's no reason. There's something about a priest is killed, but it was in a church, but the house is haunted because of it, because there's a piece of furniture from the church in the house. I don't know how it got there.
There's no fucking furniture in a church.
Well, it's what's
You.
is it called a confessional? Is that what it's called?
Somebody put the confessional in their house.
I that's what it looked like. Yeah,
That's
where a
some
priest
sexy
was
role
killed.
play right there, boy.
So
I'm
then
digging that.
it makes dogs attack people, and
Sounds like the best movie ever. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
It was
it's
bad.
got
I'm
Kim
not gonna
Coates
lie.
in it. He's from
Yeah, Kim-
Saskatoon.
Kim Coates is amazing.
yeah, well, everybody squeezes out a stinker every now and then, and this was his.
I love him as the police detective in Silent Hill.
Oh yeah, that's right. He wears the gloves.
Yep.
You like Silent Hill?
Yeah, he was the best part of this movie, and that's unfortunate for him. Honestly, I would say more, but this is so boring. This has nothing to do with Amityville.
By the way,
Please
you
don't
have a
watch it.
request for Hellraiser for the next one.
Ooh, I just watched the first 3. That is
Stop
an
there.
experience.
I feel like Tim doing the franchises would be a whole different thing because he'd be like, I like all these. Wow.
Yeah,
Hellraiser
Hellraiser
5
5 is
I
awesome.
thought it was a sleeper hit, man.
I thought going to space would be dumb, but I was wrong.
You know what's really great for a franchise? Space.
Jason X is a great movie.
Jason
I
X
will
is a
defend
great
Jason
movie.
X. I will
How
defend.
about
it.
Hellraiser in space?
Oh God, was that?
I just
5 or
watched the
6?
Friday the 13th, 2009 remake. I would take Jason X, watching it endlessly for 100 years over another hour and a half of that piece of garbage. That was terrible. Although it
know.
does have the most nudity, it wins for that.
I honestly, I don't remember much of that. I saw it when it came out. I haven't seen it since.
I remember the nudity.
It's softcore porn.
I didn't
at
hate
one
it the way
point.
everybody else does, but I don't remember it either.
I can't remember much about it except all the actresses' names.
And breast size. All right, so no shock. Amityville 5 not good. So 7
Might be a
more to
surprise
go.
twist coming. I'll just say that.
Jesus. All right, Tim. Hit me.
Oh, all right. So this movie I'm gonna do like 2. I'm gonna combine them because the first one I can't really say much about because it was horrendous. I decided to check out Books of Blood that came on Hulu. I was excited for it when it was first announced because it's Books of Blood and I love Clive Barker, right? Love the Books of Blood. And then I heard some not so good things about it, so I was less enthused. Put it on, and after 20 minutes, I wanted to stab my eyes out with a rusty screwdriver.
Wow.
Damn.
So I turned it off, and then I needed to like scrub it from my memory. So I put on Nightbreed because I love that movie, and that movie's just like comfort food for me. It's not like the best movie in the world, but I do like it. If you've never seen it, it's about a guy who has like these weird visions of this underworld where all these monsters live in called Midian, and he eventually dies and ends up there and starts hanging out with all these monsters. And then there's like a serial killer who's played by David Cronenberg, who does like a really good job acting in this movie.
Speaking of Jason X, wasn't he in Jason
Was he?
X?
Was he in Jason X?
I believe he was.
He's in The Fly. He plays the doctor in the
Yeah,
dream
I believe he was in Jason X too.
Uh, but yeah, I don't know. I love this movie. It's just like comfort food for me, and I needed it because I had to get rid of the Books of Blood, which is an adaptation, even though has nothing to do with Clive Barker's Books of Blood. Like they're all like original stories. But
What?
yes, yeah, it has nothing to do with Clive Barker's Books of Blood at all. so.
Nobody has the balls to make those movies because those are really
And
out there.
yeah, and it's one of my favorite collections like of all time. Especially the first one, in the hills, the cities is like one of my favorite short stories like ever written. And I really hope they do an adaptation of that one day because that would be amazing. But yeah, like it had nothing to do with Clive Barker. Like it didn't even feel like a Clive Barker thing. There's like, I actually went back and watched it, the whole thing, after I watched Nightbreed, and I started it. I just felt like I had to watch it and I had time. So there's probably like 5 minutes total that Books of Blood actually feels like something that Clive Barker actually did, and
That's sad.
it's very sad.
Did you watch the director's cut of Nightbreed?
I watched, whatever's on Prime. I think it was on Prime, so I just
Because I've heard that it's a whole different experience if you watch a theatrical
true.
cut to the director's
It
cut.
is.
I've never seen
Yeah.
it.
I think it was the director's cut. It was on it's on Prime, so whichever one that was. But
The first... Good, sorry.
I was just gonna say, even watching Nightbreed still didn't undo the damage that
Yeah,
other
there's
movie
no
did.
way.
So I went back and I read this week the second Books of Blood because I had reread the first one earlier in the year. So, and I love those stories; they're great.
I was 16 when they came out, and I read them over and over. They're somewhere here, somewhere in this mess of boxes around here. They are great.
I've only
So
read
good.
volume 1. I need to...
Volume 1, I think, is the best, but 2's good. 2's great. I love it.
Yeah, very erotic.
Very erotic.
Jack, speaking of erotic,
Well, I delved into many erotic movies this week.
The Vampire Lovers
Actually-
again.
First movie I watched was one of those Blumhouse movies that they released on Amazon through Blumhouse TV.
Yeah,
So the one I watched was called The Lie, which has Joey King, which is that like young upcoming actress who's very, I mean, you can see the picture here. She's a very like, she's
Yeah.
got like striking eyes and she's really good.
shape
Peter-
yourself over her.
Peter Skarsgård is in it, who
Ooh.
he's great.
Oh wow,
And Muriel Enos, who's in The Killing.
Oh, I love her.
So
Yeah.
great cast. Jason, I want you to watch this movie because I have a feeling you might get pissed off at it.
Oh, great. Can't wait.
What a friend.
You ever see A Simple Plan?
Yeah.
So this kind of has a premise of like that, where this is where Joey King's a teenage girl and her friend dies, and she confesses to her parents that she killed her. And then her parents, basically, the steps they take and the lengths they go to protect her and cover it up. And so this is one of those snowball effect things where one person's lying, the other they get caught in a lie, they gotta change something else, and what's really going on here, and how their decisions are affecting other people, and all that. So on paper, I was like, oh, this looks really interesting. So I checked it out, and then I read some reviews afterwards, and a lot of people are hammering this movie. There's a lot of anger about it, and there are some people who like it. For me, I thought, okay, this is clearly Blumhouse has figured out that some of their movies are theater level, and some of their movies are, kind of disposable.
they have like multiple different production companies.
Yeah. So this, if I had seen this in the
theater,
theater, especially now during a pandemic when people are dying for content, and the way they package these is 2 at a time, and in these, like 4 to 8 movie sets. So now suddenly we're conditioned to be like, oh, I have to watch all the Blumhouse movies instead of just like watching one and maybe not watching any of the other ones. We're like, oh, you have to watch all of them, even though they're not related.
Until they're not good, and then they
Right.
say, I don't have to watch any of these.
So this one I thought was fine. like there's definitely some problems with the writing and some like plot hole kind of stuff. But it's like a Simple Plan light. And the ending, they didn't quite stick the landing. But I thought like it was totally like I rented a movie, it entertained me that night, and I'll never watch it again. But it was fine for that night. Like I said, Jason, I don't know if this is gonna be one of those ones that you're just like, oh, I hated this movie. This is a problem. This is a problem. Or if you're gonna just be like me, and like, that was all right. It wasn't great, but it was.
Is
fine.
it left leaning?
No.
I'm trying to determine for Jason.
What?
Anyone trying to take someone's guns away? Is that what the lie's about? I'm kidding.
That was one movie.
Oh, there's
take my
gentrification in this movie.
I love gentrification. I love.
So
It's
I
so
would
much
say if you're
fun.
looking for something to watch one night, pop it on. It ain't going to be your favorite movie ever, but it'll entertain you for that night. And very, very good performances.
I watched that other one that they did, Black Box.
Oh, Black Box.
Yeah.
See, I didn't watch that one because the description with the going into your mind and stuff, I just was like, I don't have the
Which is like right. I love stuff like that, but to me, it felt like a rejected Black Mirror episode. That's exactly how it
Mhm.
played out. So, but it wasn't terrible.
Here we go.
So it sounds like on par. with
Glowing
this, but-
pace.
Yeah.
They're both
Oh.
on my list. I just until I finish Amityville, I don't know when I'll actually get to them.
Yeah, you're locked in for the month.
I'm
All
sorry, the cast elevates this movie.
Cool.
I went back into the time machine to 1980 something to watch April Fool's Day, even though it's
Oh.
October.
That girl from Waxwork is in that.
Mm. And Muffy, who is in Valley Girl, love her. So this is kind of like a Agatha Christie-esque murder mystery slasher movie from the early 80s, where Muffy, these are all these assholes who go to Vassar. So just if you don't like white people, this is the ultimate movie to hate white people in. But Muffy has this island house, and she invites all her friends over to have this kind of like a little party on the weekend on the island. And then people start dying one by one. Who's the killer? Oh my God. So much intrigue, so much mystery. And you know what? So much fun. This is really, it's not, if you're looking for gore, you're not going to get your gore here, but it's a lot of fun. It has Amy Steele, who you all know was the final girl from Friday the 13th Part 2. So, because Frank Mancuso was part of this as well. It's just a fun little glimpse of the 80s. You just look at the hair, or you look at the outfit. He's like, oh my God, I was there. But it's actually, it's better than it should be. It's better than most slasher movies. It's more intelligently written because it's more of a mystery. But I always love this movie. Always. It's like if I ever need a little injection of the 80s, I'll turn that in, or maybe Slumber Party Massacre or something like that.
This has been on my to-do list because I haven't really seen this movie since probably the early 90s.
Oh,
I've
really?
never watched-
I enjoy it, yeah.
Oh,
I've never seen this.
I have a disc of this and My Bloody Valentine, but it's the My Bloody Valentine that has way too many edits, so you miss like most of the
Right.
kills in it.
Hmm.
But I said there's really nothing to edit out of April Fool's Day.
This
But
is
it's
one I
fun.
always saw at the video store, and I always thought, I'll get that sometime soon, and I just never did.
Yeah, you should. You
Yeah.
were probably a zygote when this movie came out, but you'll dig it.
I was 4. It looks like Biff was in it. Was that Biff from Back
There's
to the Future?
Muffy and Biff. Yeah, there's every douchebag name from the 80s is there. But yeah.
Muffy and Biff.
Hello, Muffy. I just think it was the cool chick from Valley Girl, which is a movie I love.
I have seen that.
If you love Nick Cage, you have to love Valley Girl. That's where he started, man. Tim's like
I'll take-
looking like shocked. Did you
I
ever
love
see
Nick
Valley
Cage.
Girl?
No.
Then you don't
It's
know what the
alright.
fuck you're talking about.
Just watch The Rock.
Yeah.
No. Get to the origins, man.
I'm
It's
a
like
chemical
saying I love
weapon
Rubber
freak.
Skull, but I don't like A Hard Day's Night. No, you gotta check out Hard Day's Night too.
Vampire's
I mean?
Kiss.
That movie is a piece of fucking garbage.
It's a great movie, man.
No, that is
Bad
one of the worst
Lieutenant 2.
performances ever.
Bad.
Bad Lieutenant 2. Bad Lieutenant is the best because they have WFAN talking about the Mets the entire the entire movie. All right,
I turned off The Bad Lieutenant. I did never finish that movie.
You never Oh, let's watch it together
I was at a friend's house.
with our pants off.
I was at a friend's house watching that, and his wife and him were just like, "What the hell have we rented?"
Oof.
And I was like, "Okay, we can turn it off."
See, you could have watched it in my house with my wife and probably my kids. We'll be like, oh, check this out.
This is my favorite part.
Oh, I love it when he jerks off outside the car.
Yes.
All right. Now, this is what happens when you've been drinking for 5.5 hours. I'm going to go to the bathroom. But Jason, you guys just do your round robin. I'll be back well before you get to Tim.
All right.
So,
well,
all right.
I'll
Amityville
leave
6?
you on this. Amityville 6 is
Oh,
a fun
I
movie, and I liked watching it.
No, it isn't. You're fun.
What?
I just watched this.
I'm assuming my mind has rotted from watching all of these.
Wait, two
Yeah.
people in this podcast have watched this movie in the past month.
Apparently so.
What the hell's happening to us?
I had watched 5 the day before. You know, I was thinking about gargling with bleach, and I thought, oh, let's watch this first. And I'm like, this is entertaining. It's not good, but it's entertaining. I liked watching it. It was 90s sleazy, lots of effects. Tony Randall directed it, who did Hellraiser 2. So, you know, you're going to get a certain level of insanity when he's involved. And the movie continues the lovely story of taking haunted objects from the Amityville house back to your home, and then crazy shit happens. Was this in 3 or 4? I don't remember. So they decided that wasn't bad enough. Let's do that story again. Oh, and they were going to put it in the 90s. And they do. But I'm pretty sure K&B did some of the effects for this. So there's some nice gooey stuff that happens here and there. There's some crazy time jumps and time loops people get stuck in. I got to tell you, I did not hate this, and it completely shocked the shit out of me. I would say this is the 3rd best movie in the series, which isn't saying much, but I enjoyed watching 2 more than 1, even though I'd say 1 is probably a better made movie. It just has a terrible ending. And then I would put this 3rd. And I didn't want to kill myself when it was over. I don't know what to say.
That's how we're judging movies now.
We're really setting the bar low here. Tim and I are both like, yeah, it's not awful. It was like, now you're like, I didn't kill myself.
I didn't kill myself. I'm telling you, I would be sure. I'm curious. I think Chad said he thought it wasn't terrible too. So I got to tell you, man, I don't know if the series is turning around or if this was just, I was done. Like my brain just was fried.
So they don't spend a lot of time in the Amityville house.
None. You don't even see it as far as I know. Maybe in a little flash of an image, but this dude brings a clock home, puts it on the mantle, it screws itself into the mantle, and then just crazy shit starts to happen to everybody in the house. So story's dumb.
Oh, so it's about time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a clock.
Yep. And people literally get stuck in time loops and stuff, and see things that aren't there and get attacked by dogs that don't exist and pussy legs, and it wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. I was pleased. I actually thought, hey, this isn't bad. Amityville 6 turning the series around.
Wow.
I know.
Chad says, for the record, you cannot kill anyone by plugging your guitar cord from the amp into someone's mouth. And I want to know how he knows that.
Yeah.
Has he tried it? Like, what the hell, man?
It's a good question. He's probably just sucking on the guitar cord himself.
Yeah. He's like, nope.
But that is something that
work.
happens. Somebody gets electrocuted to death from a cord from a guitar.
I always wonder, like, how that kind of stuff happens in horror movies and, like, nobody catches it. Like, obviously that can't happen. So it's like,
Yeah. I'm sure at this point they were like, this is Amityville 6.
Who
No one is
cares?
going to watch this. Let's just get it done.
There's a magic clock that explains everything.
oh boy.
I'm glad to see Chad thinks it's up there. He thinks it might be the 2nd best in the series.
He's been playing guitar for 35 years, and apparently in one of those years he tried to put a guitar cord in his mouth.
He's just taking lessons in the wrong place, because I've killed at least 3 people like that.
Oh,
But you got to use a Les Paul. You can't be using
Yeah.
Strat for that.
Maybe
kind
he's
of thing.
using the cheap stuff, the generic kind.
needs to plug somebody into that amp from Back to the Future when it blows him across the room.
Yeah, see?
Come on, Chad.
You need that
Come on.
Gene Simmons axe bass. That'll do it.
What about the one from the guy from Cheap Trick?
Mm. The
Double
checkerboard.
frets, baby.
Can't beat that.
Or the guitar from Slumber Party Massacre 2.
Oh, that would do it.
Trill 'em.
With like the drill on the end.
I
Oh, God.
I want to get like a model of that and just hang it on my wall because that thing's amazing.
My brother-in-law does woodworking, and I asked him if he would do that for me, and he said he might.
Well, if he
That's a
does,
no.
I'm putting in a request.
All right, I'll tell him. Maybe we can make some quiche. I don't know who is next.
Is it my turn?
I think so.
Sure.
If Jason's finished, it's your turn, Tim.
All right. I watched another movie that I'm quite fond of that I've seen a few times now, and that is We Are Still Here. Ever seen it?
yeah.
Oh, God.
I like
I
that
own
one.
this movie. I want to talk to you
Me
about
too.
it. All right. You do your thing. I have something to say about this.
No, I mean it's just a solid movie. Barbara Crampton's in it. Some other people who I'm not entirely familiar with.
Larry Fessenden, Lisa Marie.
Yeah, those people. Oh yeah, him, that guy. I've seen him in a few
Oh,
things.
Larry
Larry
amazing
Fessendon's
headshot.
like a giant in the industry.
Yeah. He's the poor man's Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
He's a director too.
Is he?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
Producer, dude.
yeah, this is like a really fun movie, and I remember the first time I watched it, I kind of went in knowing nothing about it, and the first half of the movie is kind of like a slow burn. It's about this couple who obviously lost someone, and they go move into like this house that's in the middle of a wintry storm, and they get visits from the neighbors, and there's just like a lot of creepy stuff going on in their house. It's kind of set up like your traditional haunted house movie, and then about halfway in, it takes a turn and it gets fucking crazy. I forgot how gory this movie is and violent, and just like it works so well. And the budget, I don't know what the budget was, but it couldn't have been much. But whatever they got, they used perfectly, because some of the effects and like the gags that they use in that movie really worked. And I love this movie. I'll probably watch it like every couple of years just because it's so good.
See, I bought this the day I met Barbara Crampton and brought it home, showed my wife. This has become like one of her top 10 horror movies. So we have to watch it every October. The more I watch this, the more I pull on the threads and I completely unravel the sweater. I'm like, this movie makes no friggin' sense. You realize this. And so like every time we watch it, we have more questions that have zero answers. Like my wife will go, well, what does this mean? I'm like, I don't know. Ask the writer who didn't seem to care about making any sense. But despite all that, I really like watching this movie. It doesn't need to make total sense for whatever reason. There's
Those
the
ghost entities-
atmosphere is enough.
Those
Like-
ghost entities things are awesome.
Yeah, they look killer.
Yeah.
Those crispy ghosts are great. Larry Fessenden is always awesome. Lisa Marie, I think, Jack, when you and I saw her the year after she
killer.
made this or whatever. So there's like, we have a little connection to this movie in a weird, like 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
I took the picture of you and Barbara Crampton.
Yes, you did, which I just came across those recently.
I posted it.
So it's
This is
a
one of
fun
the first
movie.
movies in her comeback, wasn't it?
Your Next was the first, but this was
Right.
not long after. Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this movie. It's one that, I don't think the story's great or anything, but I feel like this was also kind of at the beginning of the resurgence of practical effects in some of these movies, and there was a good meld, and I think it's cool.
Yeah,
Probably
Anyone could write to us and tell me why they shot the girl in the bar. Just give me a reason why. That we'll answer one question.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. I was thinking that too. Actually, I was like, did they just shoot her? The only thing that I could possibly think was that she was like, because after she gets shot, the other woman's like, oh, she's new here, she didn't know or something, and like it made it seem like the guy was just cleaning up like loose ends or something. I don't. That's the way it seemed like to me. But even that's
I
like
don't
kind of
know.
a stretch. I'm
Yeah, it
stretching
didn't
a little
fit into the whole thing. I'm like, okay, whatever.
It's a twist.
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 Speaking of twist, Jack.
I have a
What you
really cool story for you this time. So, I work in the video production world, And a guy who does some contracting for us was in the office. And I've known this guy, but not well for
Jeremy.
But we were me and somebody else were talking about horror movie, and he goes, "Oh, I edited a horror movie." It's like, "Wait, what? What did you edit?" He goes, "I edited a movie called Ghost in the Graveyard." I was like, "Oh, I've heard of that movie. I think I almost watched it like a year ago, but I don't know why I didn't." Yeah, so it's a Jake Busey movie.
Nice. In the pantheon of Jake Busey movies.
Yeah. So I'm like, wait. So he starts telling me how I don't know how he knew the filmmaker, but they filmed it in New York, like in the Somers and that kind of area.
Oh, Somers Brewster.
Yeah, around there. And so he was starting to tell me how the guy had done some work, and he knew the guy who made the film, and then somebody else had edited it but wasn't cutting it. So he was like, let me add it, and he edited it. So I asked him some cool questions about the process, and then I told him I was going to watch it. So he wasn't in today, but I'm going to later this week when he's in. Now that I've seen it, I'm going to press him on it. So it's free on Prime. So if you're looking for this movie has ghosts and witches and Jake Busey.
All I want in life.
Yeah. That's a hell of a selling point, dude.
And
Love it.
It goes from like a kind of a ghost story in the cemetery thing to it gets quite ambitious towards the end with very little budget. But the way he was describing how he had told the director how he could set the mood with the editing. I've never watched a movie paying attention to the editing more. So anytime there was like somebody doing something and there was quick cuts back to something else and back, I was like, oh, I have to ask him, like, was that planned or did you do that? Or like, how do you handle the sound over these things and everything? So it was really cool to watch it from that perspective. The movie itself is just, it's a renter. It's a Jake Busey movie. You're getting into it's a very silly ending. But
I had a good
cool.
time at Horrifying Convention trying to help him find his dad for an entire day.
There you go. I don't know if you watch the Goldbergs, but the lead girl in this, I'm watching it going, I know her from somewhere. She plays one of the girlfriends of one of the main characters in the Goldbergs. I was like, oh no way. Goldberg girl.
The blonde or the brunette?
The second one. When Laney leaves and then he gets a new girlfriend and he's
yes,
that girl.
Okay.
So I had a blast watching this movie, and it's a very Halloween-y. So if you're looking for something on Prime on a night to watch something, again, it's a Jake Busey movie on Prime. The level here. But
Jake Busey moving on Prime. TV sets are turning off as we speak.
Best editing ever. Way to go, Chris Gross.
Nice. And it's relatively new. It's like 2019.
Yeah, 2019. And Hunter, you should check it out because the cemetery they use is great. And once I started looking at the locations, I was like, oh, this is all right around our neighborhood. So
yeah, no, I want to watch. I put that on my watch list.
And like I said, it gets very ambitious towards the ends with what's going on. It gets almost like Da Vinci Code levels of
Tom Hanksian.
So, damn. Jake Busey figuring out a Da Vinci level.
Yeah, like
mystery. All right.
Once they start going down, you're like, oh, this
fantasy.
This is ambitious.
How did this turn into the busting on Jake Busey?
I know. Jake is a really nice guy, by the way.
He said that's what he said. He goes, he's a bro. He's like really cool. Really.
Yeah.
He was great in Starship Troopers.
Hell yeah.
The Frighteners?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. What was that movie like that? Bobcats or something? Tomcats. He was good in Tomcats.
Yeah.
That's such a funny movie.
I barely remember that.
That's me too now. I don't think you can watch that without special permission from a judge. All right, I'm up. Oh shit, I'm up. Mm-hmm. Okay, Jack, you'll appreciate this. Richard Matheson wrote a novella that's one of the greatest horror novellas of all time, I Am Legend. And I said, I gotta watch The Last Man on Earth by Vincent Price, which is the best version of this book you're ever going to get. Mm-hmm. It's not a straight adaptation, but at the time you couldn't make one, which is amazing that nobody has since then, since we've got the Omega Man and Were
you here when we were talking, when I watched Omega Man a couple weeks ago?
Yes.
Yeah. So
I love this movie. Every time, Jack, I watch this movie and just his friend Morgan.
Morgan.
You know who we're
I have a
thinking
good friend named Morgan that when we were with him at Schiller, that's all we did all day was Morgan.
of. Morgan.
Nice.
It's a plague movie, so very apropos for this time in our lives. But there's a virus that has literally killed everybody on Earth, just about, except Vincent Price, poor dude, who is living in his house by day. Well, no, by night he's in there being assaulted by vampires, very weak vampires, and then during the day he's out just cleansing different areas of all these different vampires and chucking them in the fire pit. It's a great movie. And I got it on Prime because I have there are so many shitty transfers of this that I think I own 3 of them. I'm like, I hope somebody has one where I can actually see and hear things for once. And it was the best viewing experience I've had of this movie in the last 30 years. So if you can check it out on Prime. I think I paid $1.99. It was well worth it.
Was it black and white or color?
Black and white, thank God. If you see somebody colorize a version, delete.
Goddamn
move to the way
Ted
it should
Turner.
be.
And this is a little more toned down Vincent Price. He's not as kind of
He's
Vincent
tortured.
Pricey.
He's just tortured. Unlike the Mask of the Red Death, where he was out of his mind as a Satan worshiper, which I just watched that.
I watched that too the other day, dude. I fucking love that. I almost did it for this show.
It's a beautiful movie. They have a beautiful transfer of that movie too.
Yeah,
Tim, I watched it this summer during the lockdown, but I watched a crappy version on YouTube.
Yeah,
and there was a moment where Roy towards the end when he's talking to the Red Death.
Yeah,
that the sound died.
Like what?
And I had to go find another version on YouTube and fast forward through and find that part.
Oh,
because I watched the whole movie through, then I went back and watched that scene on a difference, and now it's on freaking Shudder. So
it looks great on Shudder. By the way, it's
probably the best I've ever seen it.
It looks like high definition, which is fucking crazy to me.
Yeah,
but
great.
It's so good, and he carries that fucking movie too.
He's the most evil motherfucker of all time.
And just his performance, it's just amazing to watch someone literally carry an entire movie and just oh my god, I loved it.
Why don't you show them how the pig is?
Yeah, what was that whole scene? He's like, oh my god, I loved it.
It's really good.
Roger Corman.
It's a Corman movie. Yeah. A lot of those movies are on Shudder right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and watch them all.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. That's a good early morning. Just wake and bake with Vincent Price. What does that mean? I don't know what it means.
Ask Jake Busey.
All right, Jason.
Bake with Jake.
While I fire up another backwoods cigar, because I'm only smoking the best while I'm doing this episode. Jason, what you got?
I watched
you know all
movie.
about backwoods.
I do. I watched The Cabin in the Woods.
Hey.
I had not seen this in a couple years now. I don't know why. It's one of those I never think to go back to every Halloween because it is so freaking good. I love this movie. Every time I watch it, I notice more and more little things they put in, either praising horror movies or making fun of them. When they show all the crazy monsters at the end, I always see at least 1 or 2 more that I recognize. I think this might be a modern classic. It is so much freaking fun. It is so hilarious. And there's not really anything I can point to and say, wow, that's not good, or that doesn't work very well. I think everything in this movie is just clicking on all cylinders. And if you haven't seen it in a while, go back and check it out again, particularly since TVs have gotten better since this came out. I'm able to see some of the creatures at the end much clearer, and it's a fun movie, man. I love this thing. I'm so glad I went back and checked it out.
It's a great movie. By the way, Tina True Edwards says she watches this at least once every couple of months.
She's so cool.
Wow. Are you married to Josh Whedon?
She should be Tina Cool Edwards. So I watched this movie a month ago or 2. And my nephew, big film fan, not a huge, he likes horror, but he's not crazy like we are.
He's a little more normal.
Good for him.
So I'm always
You
trying to
can
tell him
ignore
like, oh, you should watch this, you should watch that. So he and I were sitting down one day, and I was like, I just watched Cabin in the Woods. I was like, you know what you would probably love is Cabin in the Woods. So we sat down to watch it, and as soon as we hit play, my sister called and he had to go help her with something. And at that point, I was like, you know what? I can't stay. It's like, do me a favor. I just watched this anyway. Promise me you're going to watch this. A couple of days later, I get a text from him, and he's like, oh my God, this is one of my favorite movies. This is like the staple now. Anytime I'm with people, like, and we got to put on a scary movie, this is what I'm putting on, like jackpot. So I was so happy when I got that text.
And that's without him being a horror fan, knowing all the tropes that they're playing on. Wow.
Yeah. I think it works on all levels. Like if you don't know shit about horror, you see them just kind of almost making fun of all the slasher tropes and things like that. But if you love horror, you see them appreciating kind of those tropes at the same time.
Even Hellraiser.
And I just love that the dude who's smoking so much weed.
I love him.
All the drugs and things they're trying to give him aren't working. So he's the only one who sees how screwed up everything is. And when he keeps hearing whispers and he's like, what the fuck is going on?
By the way, that bong that becomes a travel coffee mug.
Oh yeah,
pretty amazing.
That is amazing. I actually watched this recently too, probably like a week or two ago, and yeah, I love this movie as well. Bradley Whitford,
awesome.
Yeah, he's great in it.
There's like this one scene where he gets a call from the guy at the gas station who like gives the kid the directions. I was laughing so hard just the way he reacts to that.
Am I on speakerphone?
That whole chalkboard or whatever, the whiteboard with all the
great
monsters is the best. And when they're really placing the bets, best scene in the movie.
It's become like a huge COVID or 2020 meme.
Yeah. And the ending is great.
Like I said, it's been years, and just watching again, I'm like, I think this is a modern classic. I need to put this in the rotation. There's just nothing wrong with it. Like everything works.
And they're like, hey, horror fans, we get it. Like there's a lot to love, and there's a few things we can poke fun at. Like
yeah.
Gets it on all
which is basically what we do here.
Right.
Do we? Okay.
Yeah. And Chris Hemsworth before he was Thor.
Yeah. Without his hammer, but maybe he does have his hammer. All right, Tim.
I read a book about a week and a half ago. It's called The Misfits, or actually it's just called Misfits. There's no the.
I think if I called it The Misfits, I'd be sued.
Yeah, probably. You probably would be. But it's right here. It's by this douche.
You're dumpster diving.
What kind of asshole puts his name up so big on the book?
I know, right?
Like, what do you think?
My decision. What do you think? You're fucking Stephen King or something?
I know. I always thought that was kind of
odd. But yeah, no, this was a really fun movie.
That's right, movie, brother.
I've done this 2 weeks in a row now.
Yeah, he promises he read it.
Yeah, I did. No, this was a fun book. It's about a bunch of flesh-eating creatures that attack these kids. It takes place in the 90s. The only thing I didn't like about it was that you made fun of Bon Jovi like twice in this book, and
that's what we did in the 90s.
But other than that,
by the way, everyone who made fun of Bon Jovi in the 90s was wearing fringe leather jackets in the 80s and living on a prayer. And then the 90s came, like, oh, fuck Bon Jovi.
Listen, I love Bon Jovi. It's probably because I'm from New Jersey, but I love him, and I do too. It's great. So, no, anyway, I really enjoy this book. Dude, you write such fun novels, and even though they're like monster novels, we got each other, and that's a lot for love. you put so many layers in like these fun poppy monster books, and it's just it's like a breath of fresh air. So kudos to you, sir.
Thank you. It's all about the kids. It's not about the melon heads.
That book is like bad medicine, but bad medicine is what I need.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I haven't read that yet. I guess maybe I will.
It's good. Definitely read it.
Did I send it to you? I can't even remember.
Did you? No, I bought it with money.
No, you bought it. I know. I can't remember if I sent it to Jason or not.
Nope.
Jack, I have your copy waiting to actually see you and hand it to you. This COVID thing has everything screwed up.
That's like your excuse.
On that. Yeah.
I'll
Sure.
hand it to you in person.
Not Joe Biden. I'm not making excuses with COVID. All right, Jack, what you got?
Oh, Jason, buckle up
Oh,
because I know you're going to want to chime in on this. I watched perhaps one of the most genius werewolf movies of all time. Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf.
Yep.
Oh, every once in a while, you have to go back and watch this movie.
Do you? Do you?
Christopher Lee, for some reason, is in this movie. Sybil Danning is the whole
Oh.
reason you watch this movie.
Sybil Danning.
She gives you 2 reasons to watch this movie.
The kind of I hadn't seen this movie in a really long time because there's just as time passes with this movie, there's just sort of moments you remember in it, and you kind of forget a lot of other stuff. You remember kind of like there's a lot of werewolf sex.
Yeah, baby. Not like
there's,
wolf cop werewolf sex. Nothing beats that.
It's like that one guy, that one like werewolf guy who's like really like everything. Like he just seems like he's in ecstasy whenever he's like licking somebody's arm, like it's weird, creepy. There's Christopher Lee just like going through the motions. But the most annoying thing about this freaking movie is the 80s band that's playing at the bar. And they keep going back and playing By the Light of the Pale, Pale Moon, or whatever that song is. And they they keep coming back to it. And then they play like the whole thing at the end. I'm like, whose brother or cousin is this band? I guess it's supposed to be a continuation of the first one to get like they have somebody else playing the Dee Wallace character.
Really? I
think.
don't remember.
Yeah, because they show somebody turning into a werewolf on the news and then getting shot, and that's I think the sister. So I think this is supposed to be Dee Wallace's brother, but it's very loose connection. So Jason, I know you just watched like the Howling series, and Hunter, you've probably seen this a billion times. So what are thoughts on what I wish I had watched this with one of you guys or like as a viewing party. This really shouldn't have been one I watched by myself.
I've seen part 2 once in the 80s, so it's gone from the memory entirely, except Sybil Danning.
I don't think I've ever seen the whole movie, to be honest. When I did Howling 7, I just jumped right to Howling 7.
Oh, you didn't do the whole series?
No, I just went
continuity, son.
Yeah. No, I just jumped straight to Howling 7.
You should all watch this movie then, because wow. I mean, wow.
It's going to shock you, but Steve Barnard likes it.
Of course he does.
Oh, Jesus. It's crap. I'll watch
they
it.
they do these like random, like somebody's talking and then they flash to something else and come back. It's like what they were referencing or something they were remembering. Oh, it's just a mess.
They did that in Howling 7. Maybe there is a motif.
Is it on Prime or Shudder?
Oh, yeah. On Prime. I didn't pay.
I was going to say, I know you didn't pay anything for that. I trust.
There are certain movies I'll pay to see, but this ain't one of them.
Good man. Good man. All right. I read a book as well. But by the way, this month I'm reading a lot of books that are just gutting me. This was Crossroads by Laurel Hightower.
I just bought this book with money.
Oh,
here we go. It's going to take over another goddamn episode.
Just read it. Actually reviewed it a couple of weeks ago.
I'm ready.
Yeah, it's a gut punch, man. This is about a woman who loses her son in his 20s in a car accident, and it's all about the grieving process and the sense of loss and how a mom will do anything to get her child back in her life. That is all I am going to tell you because it's a short. It's only like 100-something pages, and I know Tim, you love this book.
I did.
It was. Here's the deal. I'm finishing reading this. I read the entire thing during lunch breaks at the beach. So I'm sitting at the beach. The sun is out. It is gorgeous. There are kids playing, and I am emotionally wrecked every freaking lunch break. I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? It's ridiculously well written. I mean, Laurel is absolutely somebody to watch. I'll read everything that she writes. If she wants to write commercials for Geico, I'm going to watch those. I don't care because I'm a fan for life.
15% or more on your car insurance.
Yeah, I mean, this is really it's horror with balls and heart and just it's great. I'm so glad I saved this for
So you should
October.
read that and then go watch A Dark Song. Remember that movie?
By the way, I follow this up with Chad Lutzke's Pale White, which I'll talk about
Lutsky.
at another episode. And I'm like,
Son
what
of
the
a
fuck?
bitch.
Why is everybody like making me not have fun? Why is everyone bringing me down, man?
Watch Howling 2.
But good, they're bringing me down and raising the bar on the genre. So check it out.
All right.
Crossroads,
The genre from China.
the
I'm gonna-
genre.
I'm going to mention one more thing super quick. The Boys 2 season 2 wrapped up,
Oh.
and I got to finish it, and really like this season.
So
Last
good.
episode was felt kind of rushed. Like the last 5 minutes, I was like, holy crap, the story just jumped like, huge directions. But I
Maybe
really
someone
dug
had
it.
Corona and had to end it.
If you don't like superhero movies, all the Marvel stuff, this is your show. I mean, it just trashes all of those. And I think it's great. It's super violent. The shit they do in this is absolutely bonkers. And also this season there was a lot of politics in it. So if you want to know how to weave current events in and push whatever message you want to push, but not have it overpower the story, not make it that people like me get annoyed, this is how you do it. I thought it was really well done. I'd heard people were saying they didn't like this season, but
They're nuts. This is the best show on TV.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
I thought it was amazing. I couldn't
People
wait to finish
suck.
it.
We know that.
The Boys is the best. Every week, every Monday, we all come in the office, and if some idiot has not watched the Boys, we kick them out of the room so that we can talk about it.
Nice.
It's-
It's
You
so good.
all come in the office and talk about boys. All right, good to hear that, Jack.
I'm done.
Are we all done?
Yep.
We're all done. All right, so we're going to jump into our main feature tonight, which is hosts with an S at the end. Roll tape.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to mind?
All right, there, Jack. You are our expert synopsizer.
Okay.
You are the man. Take your time. Dead air.
Two people. They must be British because that's a drinking word.
I just took a drink.
Get possessed by these entities. So they're
Entities?
hosts to the entities. But they've been invited to a dinner party around Christmas at their neighbor's house because those people are hosting a party. So the hosts end up attacking the hosts. That's your movie.
Boom. Are you going
So
to drop
simple.
the mic? Drop your mic. I dare you. All right, drop the pen.
I'll move my bike so you can see my Monster Man shirt.
So we will be, let's be transparent. We were given a screener
Mhm.
from, was it the director, Jack?
The cinematographer.
Oh, the cinematographer.
He may be the director too. You would have asked me to take notes on this stuff. I would just call them the filmmakers.
Well, you did lead this charge. But whatever. All right. Tim,
Yes.
I call on you first.
All right. This movie, didn't know anything about it going in. But that said, I didn't not like it, didn't love it, fall somewhere in between. It's hard to. The story's all right. The
Wow,
story's
this
very
has you
simple.
almost speechless.
I know, like it's hard to like review it because it's like I didn't like not like it at all, but I also like there was things about it I really loved. Like for instance, there's something that happens at the end of the first act that I was like, wow, this is where we're going, and
Hammer time.
yeah, exactly. And I was like, this is gonna be amazing if they keep doing this the entire time, and then they kind of pulled back, and it's kind of a little disjointed at times, and I didn't really understand like the whole purpose. Like not a lot was explained throughout the film. But that said, like it did have some cool moments. It had some cool character stuff in it, and the acting was surprisingly better than I think I thought it was. Like as I was watching, I was like, and then like when I thought about it, I was like, oh, you know, the acting wasn't that bad. So I don't know. It falls like it's like somewhere right in the middle for me. Didn't love it, didn't hate it. And yeah, if you can get it for free, like wait for it to come out on Prime or Netflix or something, I would say it's worth a watch.
Disclaimer: if you fall in the middle in a Tim Meyer review, that's pretty damn good for the man who loves the Shining miniseries. Jason, what do you have?
That's true.
There were some things I really liked about this and some things I didn't like about this. It was so low budget that I found myself appreciating like the effects. I was like, wow, okay, Hammer Time looked good. I was like, wow, okay. And I guess this isn't really a spoiler because it happens in the first 5 minutes, but the host thing, well, Jack said it. The effect with the mouth, the light in the mouth, I thought looked incredible. I was like, how the hell are they like putting a flashlight in someone's mouth? Like, how the hell are they doing it? It looks great. So I thought there was cool stuff like that in it. And that first act twist, I was like, okay, this is going places. And I think my biggest problem with it is I didn't feel like it went places after that. I felt like it kind of peaked right there. And then I kind of had some writing issues with it later on. But as best I can tell, it was shot, I'm guessing this is in somebody's house. If I had to guess, this is in like the writer's house, or maybe the writer and director were the same. It looks like most of this was shot in someone's house. I mean, the budget looks like it was very small on this. So it's one of those where it's like they did not have much to work with. So even like I always wanted to make a movie, and I look at stuff like this, I'm like, they did it, whether or not it's what they wanted it to be or whatever happened. I don't know. I don't know anything about this. I'm just making shit up. But the fact that they got some of that done is impressive to me.
All right, Jack.
I like this movie a lot. I'm way further up the line than these guys. I thought this had one of the best moments in a horror movie I've seen all year, if not in several years, as we've alluded to. I thought this had, it's pulling from a little bit of Body Snatchers, Evil Dead, and Strangers. You just got a little, put those together and make a shake, and serve over ice. And I just had fun with it. I just because it's a brutal movie. There's a lot of gore. There's a lot of violence, and it just was intense. And it had some cosmic-y things, and they didn't explain a lot, but they didn't really need to, because I felt like it's like in Cloverfield when you never see the monster, and you're like, well, if that was happening to me in New York, I wouldn't know the origin of that monster. We'd just be figuring out what the hell was happening as it happened. So this gave you a little bit more insight, but not much. But it was enough for me. I just really had a good time with it. I thought it was a good little horror movie.
You know what? I'm on your side on with this one, Jack. I thought it looked really good. I thought the acting for a really low budget movie, I thought the acting was really better than what I would have expected. I will tell you, I loved the interplay between Jack and Lucy in the beginning. Because
at the very beginning?
Yeah, it reminded me of me and my wife in our 20s. I mean, it was almost beat for beat the way we played with each other. I thought that was great, and it kind of set the table for everything. If you complain about your walk home from the train station after a hard day of work, where you have to walk maybe a couple of streets to your house, this dude had to walk through an endless field, it seemed, to get to his house, which tells you, all right, this is going to be one of those isolation movies, right? So these are going to be, no matter where him or the Santa Claus hunter live, it's in the middle of nowhere. So I like that sense of isolation. The gore in here is incredible. It's unrelenting. It's whatever humor it had in the first act is gone by the second and third acts. And it was like you, I enjoyed it. There were some, I'm like Jason too, in a sense where I had issues with, well, what's the mythos here? So I was kind of like losing the thread. There was one mythos, if they went with it, I know Jason and I would have had hard nipples that could cut diamonds if they stayed with it, but they didn't. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really fun movie.
Yeah, I think my writer's part of my brain was what was killing me the most, because I'm like, why are one of the characters not trying this? Why are they not doing this? Things that I'm always thinking, okay, if this situation happened in one of my books, I have to have somebody try this. Otherwise, there's going to be an asshole like me saying, why didn't they try that? And I felt a lot of that through kind of the second half that was getting to me a little bit.
I agree, because there were a lot of times going, why are they just letting this happen?
Yeah, that was honestly my biggest problem. Like, what?
There's a dinner scene in this where in my house, the phrase that would have been said the most is, what the fuck is wrong with you? But nobody pays attention. They just gloss over it because they're so self-involved with their own thing, which kind of played into what was going on and the issue with them. So, but yeah, I was like going, this would not fly in my house at Christmas dinner. You'd be called out within 30 fucking seconds. What are you fucking staring at? Eat your food, goddammit.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to talk about that without spoilers.
Yeah, this is a tough movie not to do spoiler free.
Yeah,
but
perhaps it's time.
I will say, watch this movie. I say
watch this movie.
I had a good time, and then Jason and Tim are on the fence.
I think if you can catch this on Prime, you'd be happier with it.
Okay,
I would actually spend money for this, and
wow. Jack doesn't even get his prescriptions because they cost money.
I get them from a guy. I got a guy. All right, spoiler alert, because there's a lot to talk about here.
Out. Okay.
First of all,
go ahead, Jack.
This is the best kill in a freaking horror movie in a long time.
It's pretty good.
This woman is explaining to her family how she has just kicked cancer.
But meanwhile, you think she's going to talk about how she's dying and saying goodbye, which had me choked up because people like Chad Lutzke and Laurel Hightower have fucked me up emotionally already. And then I get this goddamn revelation. I'm like, oh, Jesus, I can't take this.
Right. So then they flip it. I beat it. I'm in remission, or however she says it. And then just when you think everything's ducky, the other girl just whacks her on the side of the head with a hammer, and all hell breaks loose.
Reduces her head to a fine paste on the dinner table, covering the entire family in her brains and blood, I thought that was awesome.
It was awesome.
If you can give me one scene that I'm not going to forget at this point in my life, you've already beat everybody else.
It's the driving force for the entire movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is worth the price of admission. This is what I'm talking about. In a year from now, we're going to talk about the hammer scene in Hosts. It is. And some of the other things where maybe like you, I was going, well, maybe why are they doing this or why are they doing that? I'm like, but if you just saw your mother get her head bashed in at the dinner table and then some other stuff happened, maybe you're just not thinking straight.
Let me tell you. Well, here's the thing where I kind of go, if you did that to my mom, you'd have a fork in your temple. But they just sit there covered in blood, screaming and not moving.
Nobody stopped them at all. The other thing I had an issue with, like why people didn't react a certain way, like you guys were alluding to, like they've obviously changed pretty drastically. They changed between their human selves and their possessed selves. Mm-hmm. It's so drastic that like you wouldn't, like nobody pulled them aside and be like, yo, what's going on? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Why are you just staring at me?
Yeah.
I'm in the basement showing you shit. What's up your ass, man?
Like
Stop looking at me like this.
That wasn't too believable for me. So I think that's kind of why, like from the start, I was kind of like, this is the type of movie we're getting into. But Yeah, that kill scene was brutal though. I really enjoyed that.
Here's the only thing I will give this credence to, because when you're a normal person suddenly trapped in an abnormal situation, I can only go by my personal experience standing in the middle of a drive-by and not moving, watching people trading gunfire around me and bullets blowing out windows around me while I just stood there. So it can happen where you just freeze sometimes.
You
like,
freeze.
I don't think this is real. But that was me. I think if my friends were there, one of them would have fucked somebody up. You know what I mean?
Right.
So everybody had that paralysis move.
Building off what you were saying, Tim, and what you said, Jack, this scene was shocking in an awesome way. And it's really when I feel like the movie kind of crescendoed for me. But part of what bothered me about the scene was what Tim was saying, like some of the writing stuff, the character reactions, like the first couple hits, okay, everybody's just sitting there like, oh my God. But that scene went on for a long time.
It was like 5 minutes.
There was nothing left in the head when she was done.
Yeah, no one did anything. And there's a very simple fix for this. You just have the guy come in with the gun right at the beginning of it. And, like at least something so where they're afraid they can't stop it. And my other part of the problem, and this is just me being an asshole, but when she was describing the cancer stuff, she was like walking them step by step through everything she'd gone through as if they don't know the story. That is not how people talk. So when she was giving the cancer thing, I'm like,
it was like an info dump.
Why? Yeah, it's a super info dump. Like, why is she explaining to them everything they've lived through with her? And it was so we could hear. But so my writer brain was focused on that. So when the violence started, I was like, oh, and I had to kind of like switch back to like, holy shit, this is. So it was just like this really cool thing was kind of sandwiched into things. I was like,
I think maybe she was doing that info dump maybe for the youngest son, because you're not going to tell him everything. You can get away with that.
I also recognize it because
dump.
I used to do that shit in my writing all the time too. So like I recognize it. Like that's something that as you write more, you get better at. Figuring out how to explain things without just an info dump to somebody who already knows it.
Right.
I know. It also kind of builds into the scene needs to have some time to breathe there. So by her telling that, you're setting the pace of the whole thing. So it didn't bother me.
Explaining it to maybe the other couple, to the woman who kills her, might be the way to do it too. She doesn't know anything about it.
Right.
But it was just like, just little things that.
But also, if she's leading up for the big twist, so she wants them to I'm going to make them think that it's bad news, and then I'm going to flick it around and it's good news. So I'm going to draw out the story a little bit.
Yeah, totally. It's just the execution of the story is what bothered me. Like, I'm not going to, like, I wouldn't sit here right now and explain to you guys about the formation of Final Guys and exactly how everything happened and how we all got together and we recorded. You'd be like, I know. What are you doing? You'd be like, what happened at the doctor's office?
This
so it's just little things.
Something in this movie, it's inspiring what I would like to do a social experiment. Now, 3 of the 4 of us are married. I would like myself, Tim, and Jason to get a big painting of Abraham sacrificing his son to God, and then bang our wives every night to that picture and see how well it goes.
When I tried that, it didn't go that well.
I'm thinking that is the worst picture to have over your bed of all time. That had to come after they'd already had all the kids, because nothing's happening after that. Who has that picture anywhere? You can't even find that in a goddamn church.
Well, I've been where I'm from. A lot of people have antlers hanging in their house. I've never seen one at the end of the hallway where some idiot is going to stumble into bed drunk and like impale his eye.
I would do that. That would be me.
It's
it looked cool
though. Choice for the there's some weird stuff on the walls here.
Yeah. But not to belabor the point, but the writing stuff I was talking about in that scene was kind of the character stuff I was talking about later on, where like the father they put him in bed and he just lays in bed, and then like 3/4 of the way through the movie he finally decides maybe I should try to go out the window. After like there was a lot of stuff like that. We're like, why is nobody making any attempt to do anything except for the girl who called her boyfriend and then refused to call the police? And I I couldn't understand that.
At a point I was like, why aren't you fighting? Jesus Christ, somebody fight back. These aren't people with supernatural powers. They just have no moral boundaries.
Yeah.
So-
So like everything I liked about the hosts, the effects, the way that their behavior was, the violence and everything, the human characters kind of like were the opposite. I was like, God damn, I can't stand these people.
Jason, if from the flashlight in the mouth aspect on, it was aliens, would you have forgiven everything?
Yes.
Yeah, I knew it. I totally
100%.
knew it. But yeah, and then I'm watching this going, oh, it's a fracking movie. This is a climate change movie. I mean, basically, right? 'Cause-
Yeah. Was that in the news report where they were talking
right.
about
So
that?
there's
Yeah.
fracking. The fracking has unleashed these souls or whatever from underneath the earth. So that's why you shouldn't frack. So, put that in your platform. But I'm like, if you if you kept it as aliens, I would have fucking loved every aspect of this movie.
Yeah.
But then when
See,
you
I
made
would have liked
fracking,
it
I was
less.
like,
I would have liked it less. I probably would have
that's because
checked
you're a
out if it was
fucking
the other.
fool.
I like the supernatural better.
I like that they used the old console TV as their delivery device.
Yeah,
That was
that was actually cool. I like that part too.
Yeah.
I like them to have to sit somebody down. I thought that was a really neat take. And for what you were saying about the beginning, my favorite part of the movie, I think, was the couple in the apartment talking, and you're like learning quite a bit about them. I actually thought that dialogue was really well written.
Yeah.
And then the flashlights go by outside. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I was totally in when he went upstairs and found her in the bedroom. I was like, what is this freaking movie? This is awesome.
Right.
And then, yeah, I thought that part was great. I thought that was an amazing intro. That's one of those that would have been in the VHS store. You rent it and like the first 5 minutes are amazing. Not that this movie got terrible afterwards, but like there used to be all these action movies where there'd be all these explosions and then the rest of it was like people walking through a cave or something. Like an Indiana Jones ripoff.
Yeah, no, seriously. If this stuck to like an alien mythos, this would have been one of my favorite movies of the year. Hands down.
Why?
'Cause I love aliens.
Yeah, aliens.
Why?
So much better supernatural. Aliens is so dumb.
But
I would've
fracking
loved-
things? What are they? The spirits of the oil? Like what? Natural gas spirits.
I saw some
But I
people
like
didn't
that.
like that it was explained and some people liked that it was.
And
It
I
wasn't
like pod
explained?
people movies. Like I love pod people movies where like towns, small isolated towns get all possessed or changed or whatever. So I like that. If it was aliens, I would have liked it more. Either way, I still had fun with this movie from start
So
to
here's
end.
a couple of things I loved about this movie. Freaking awesome. Number one, there was points where when they were fighting back, they were like they would choke somebody out and the entity was released.
Oh yes,
Very
And
cool.
they didn't realize that the person had been freed and they kill him anyway.
they kill
Yeah.
him anyway.
I thought
Yeah.
that was great.
I thought that was awesome. I mean, that you're like, no, stop.
Yeah, I actually thought there was a missed opportunity there where somebody realizes it like afterwards. Like that would
Right.
have been that would
You're
have been
right.
soul crushing.
Like I thought the guy would realize it because he talks about how Jack, not Jack Campese, Jack is really his son. So then you have the whole there's your tie into Abraham and Isaac, I think, or whatever. And you have that. And I'm thinking
Oh.
that's not the motivation for this killing because Jack is not Jack. Jack is a fracker. Jack's a frack spirit. So it really has nothing to do. Jack's a frack. Jack a frack. So Jack's a frack spirit. So really this has nothing like but that's what would happen because he doesn't know. Like he's watched his wife get hammered and he's been in a room, right? So
You get hammered.
this is what he thinks is happening here, but it's not, which I thought that was kind of cool. And man, that stabbing that Jack does on his dad,
Jesus
that was
Christ.
rough.
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
It was scenes like that I'm like, oh, this movie's awesome. The other thing is when the sister is forced to put the gun to the brother
Mhm.
and then pulls the trigger and nothing happens. And then they're just like, you didn't have to do that. I thought, again, that was another one of those moments. I was like, oh, that was awesome. So,
Yeah, screwing with the dynamic there.
yeah.
Fucking with people's heads. I like that too. But Jack, I did love the fact that this whatever the possession leaves you, and then people are still murdering you because what do they know?
I forgot about that. That was a nice touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
a nice touch.
So and then the possessed woman, I can't remember anybody's name from this. She's had a total Evil Dead vibe going the whole time, and she's like
Oh,
in the
Lucy.
room. Yeah,
Lucy was great. I
But
love
she-
that
She's
actor.
got the pliers and she's messing with her teeth, and she's got
yeah.
the little kid in the bedroom. You
Yeah.
know, that was great. And then that whole scene in the attic, I'm like, this woman is scary.
Look
Yeah,
like
the
my
a-
attic.
The attic, yeah, it does look like your attic actually. But yeah, the attic scene was like one of the better scenes in the movie. I thought that was like a good interaction between those two actors.
I actually like the way they shot that because you could tell it was in an attic, not on a set, because everything was like super tight between those two actors. Like it was,
Yeah.
There was a ceiling.
claustrophobic.
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah.
No, I like there was so many parts of this movie I really liked, and at noon on a Tuesday that it had me like totally. I didn't switch it off to watch porn or anything the whole time.
I just think back to some of the other movies. There's a lot of good movies we've watched this year, right?
A lot,
But-
yeah.
No,
Something like The Beach House, I thought was pretty good, but I will go back and watch this way before I ever put The Beach House back on, because like Maniac with that shotgun blast in the car, this has the hammer scene. So
this
it's
has
like,
a moment.
Yeah,
I like this way better than Host. Like I
Oh,
will
yeah.
never watch Host again. No offense to the people who made Host. It's just everybody has their own personal opinion. But I will
I
watch.
liked
I
Host.
would watch this again. I like
I
the
will. And I'm
vibe.
recommending it to after we talk about The Boys in the Office. Then I recommended this.
Really? You think normies would dig this? I had
Yeah,
thought
No,
of
the
that.
guys I'm talking
Audio.
about aren't normies. So.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, man, I don't know.
No, not normies. So.
That hammering scene might get a lot of people pissed off at us.
No, but other horror fans who are like looking for something new to watch, I'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, you should definitely check this out.
There is nothing better than a woman announcing she's cancer free than watching her get bludgeoned to death with a fucking hammer.
Yeah.
that was pretty awesome.
It's such a great idea to just pull the old switcheroo on. It's in remission, you know, and then her head is a pancake. That's
I'm gonna live.
that's a solid idea.
No, you're
I think
not,
this-
bitch.
I think
And
this
then they
movie.
The blood trail.
There's so much blood. I think this movie had a lot of good like concepts. It
Yes.
just like all together just didn't do it for me.
Yeah,
I'm
the
not gonna
last
say it's like
third
a
is-
bad. I'm not gonna say it's like a bad movie. I'd say it's one of those where I think some people are gonna like it. Some people are gonna be like Jason and I, where we're just kind of like about it. But
Right.
I don't think it was. I think for the budget that they had, it was decent enough. Some of the writing stuff didn't hit me that well.
You're
But,
in the comfort zone.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like the concept was interesting, and it had a couple of cool scenes. So I don't feel like I wasted my time or anything.
That's a great way of summarizing my stupid and worthless opinion. Great concepts. Some of the writing and character executions are what bothered me, but the concepts, like the ideas they came up with for this, I thought were really cool.
Are we
and-
on the same page about this movie?
Dude, it's so weird.
Crazy.
I can't get over how
And
cool
the
the light
monster
in the
men are
mouth thing
together.
was.
Let's hold hands, Jack.
It's like you have to go back and
Hold
watch
my
the
hand. Where's
Mick
my-
Garris's The Shining, just to
You
see
know
if
what?
we're
Maybe I will.
just to see if we're on the same level.
I think Amityville has broken me. Maybe I'll like that now.
Yeah, you're fucked.
That's what I'm talking
Wutzke
about.
has destroyed you. We can't even take your opinion anymore as valid.
When you're criticizing this movie after watching what you did and going, yeah, Amityville About Time's pretty good.
Yeah, you're fucking lost. That one was
I also said the
awful.
Amityville Curse made me want to gargle bleach. So you know,
Yeah, but Jesus Christ.
That's because you take Trump's medical advice.
Amityville.
Wait,
I've
does
never
that work?
felt better. Amityville, It's About Time.
Actually,
Utterly
maybe that's what
worthless.
she put the UV light under her skin. She was getting rid of COVID. That's what the mouth light was.
that's what the mouth light
She
was.
cracked
That's
that.
what we need. Did you know what? Seriously, when that scene happened, I thought, did someone? I thought it was a home invasion movie. I said, did someone stick a flashlight in her mouth? And
That's
she's
literally what
choking?
I said. I thought she was choking on a flashlight.
A couple of years ago for my birthday, my buddy got me a bottle of bourbon and he put a little green LED light on the top of it, or taped it, and I took
Right.
the light off and I put it in my mouth. So I have a picture of me with a glowing green mouth. So I know how to do the special effect.
Jack puts everything in his mouth. Just
That was
a little
that was
behind
back in the
scenes.
day when you could do that kind of thing.
Yeah, really. Not anymore.
That's great.
All right. By the way, we haven't given like a movie that we saying we're reviewing this much time in a long time.
Yeah.
You know
So
what?
this is
That's
good.
true.
It made us actually talk. It made us think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I dig it. So for that,
We
I
talked about
thank you.
Vampires vs. the Bronx for about 35 seconds last week.
Yeah. Well, that's
Hey,
about all it deserved. Let's
How
be
about that
honest.
Rambo movie?
yeah. That we talked about over the top, literally longer than we talked about.
Stallone movies.
Oh, now do we know what we're watching next week? Have we made a decision yet?
We did, didn't we?
We were thinking about Scare Me on Shutter, but
Yep.
we don't have to commit if we don't want. We can do it.
Scare me. Oh yeah, that's
Okay.
pretty good. Two people talking the entire time about stories that aren't enacted. That should be
I
fun.
already watched it, so I'm good.
Is it worthy
Alright.
of a main feature?
It's you know what it might be because
Don't ask
it
him.
it is like a it's so I think I talked about it briefly last week, maybe I did it off the air, but it's such a different movie. I've never seen anything like it. Let's put it that way. So I don't know if that's a good
Yeah.
thing or a bad thing. I was kind of like, I'll save it for if we do it,
All right.
but
Let's just do Scare Me. It's there. It's
there.
on Shutter.
People are talking about it. A lot of people have been really enjoying it, so I think it might be worth a discussion. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
I was
I mean,
going to
it-
watch it anyway this week, so
We all loved every movie we watched for like 4 months in a row. And now, like the last 3 weeks, we've been kind of all over the map. So
I
might
think
not
that-
be bad to
That's
keep
good.
going.
I think this one we might be divided.
This will be a mother.
Yeah,
This will be a mother. I can tell.
fuck, I love Mother so much. I gotta watch
the
it.
girl from the
Oh,
boys.
so 3 out of 4. Well, now we totally outnumber Jack. Right?
It's a fantastic movie.
Hey, I appreciate everybody's opinion and don't ever have a problem with the differing viewpoint. We're all God's creatures.
Sure.
From the guy who stole more horror cards than anyone else I know.
Hail Satan. All right. So, here's the deal.
motherfuckers.
By the way, if you like this show and you've been a fan for the last 3+ years, why don't you show your fandom by buying a Final Guys t-shirt or a mask or something? Jack's holding one up right
I
now.
don't know what swag I got.
So go to finalguys.com and we got a whole store there so you can wear your colors, man. Be proud. And
Maybe we'll have new designs up soon.
maybe. And you can go to the Monster Men store too at themonstermen.net because we've got a store too now. Everyone's selling shit.
We're such shills.
Look, Jack and I, it took us almost 10 years to sell anything. So come on. It's not like we've been trying to get money out of you. We've been doing this.
I am
all
our
for free
number
for a
one
long
customer
time.
so far.
Yeah, well, my mom is about to buy a whole bunch of stuff because she likes it. So until next week, go watch. What are we watching? Scare Me on Shutter.
On Shutter.
And then join the fun. And I hope you all drink and we can actually play the drinking game one of these weeks.
I think we should get drunk next week. That's what I think.
All
Pumpkin
right.
ales.
That's
Do
all
it.
I needed to hear.
I'm in.
Done.
Oh no. Don't make me.
Oh, I'm gonna have to start drinking at work and then drive home drunk and keep
Oh
going.
no, you've never
That'll be
done that
fun.
before. No.
Never, not once. All right, everybody. Good night and be nice to each other.
See you.
Bye.
Game over, man.